Hello, everyone. This is David from Universal Citizen Media, and today I am in gangster mode. You're probably wondering why I'm in gangster mode. I'm in gangster mode because today we're going to be speaking about angels and aliens. So I have brought my gangster persona with me because we're going to be talking about the original gangsters in theology. Okay? If you're part of the Abrahamic religions, angels are not the nicest beings that you would want to come across. A lot of people seem to forget that Satan was an angel. Yeah. So I'm here with Amir Jahangiri, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Amir?
Ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. Thank you for joining us on this episode. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Yeah, that's one of those topics that not everybody dares to enter. Aliens and angels, with all the smear campaigns that have gone on for so long. Well, we'll do our very best to give you our very best. So thank you for being here with us.
If you guys are wondering why we combined angels and aliens in one broadcast, it's because if you believe in angels, then theoretically this show is going to be an eye-opener for you, because everybody thinks they know what angels are or what they do. I've read my Bible, I may have read the Quran, I may have read any amount of books on the topic. Y'all think you'll know what angels look like. Y'all think you guys know what they do, how they are, their disposition, and I'm going to tell you probably you're mistaken. Like a lot. And so if you believe in angels, then you're going to believe in aliens by the end of this broadcast, because, yeah, we had a lot of people in the Bible who have described their encounters with angels. And the thing about it is that you can draw it out. And so we have a little bit of a film cued here for you that will help you to understand. Amir, you want to start with the film?
Yeah, let's go right into it.
Excellent. So I am going to hit my desktop 3, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and then we are going to get into this.
Angels. Even if you haven't touched the Bible, you probably have an idea on what they look like. They're those elegant, heavenly beings with long white robes, swan-like wings, and perhaps a halo on top for good measure. We also know what angel babies or cherubs look like. Those small, chubby, cute infants clasping a bow and arrow. The kind of thing you might see on a Valentine's Day card. Except, well, that's not what angels actually look like. Not according to the Bible. These are biblically accurate angels. These horrifying abominations are more suited to an H.P. Lovecraft novel, not really the Bible. So what are these things? Why do they look this way? And how have we got angels so wrong? Okay, so angels come from the Old Testament, the first half of the Bible for Christians, or the whole Bible, known as the Tanakh, for Jews. The Old Testament was written down in modern-day Israel and Palestine from about the 6th century BCE to the 3rd century BCE. Although many scholars believe the biblical stories themselves are much older, we get the word angel from the Greek angelos, originally from the Hebrew word malach, which roughly translates to messenger. These messengers appear in the Old Testament a number of times. They carry God's messages from heaven and earth, and sometimes act on his behalf. For example, you might recognize the angel of death in the Passover story that slaughtered all the first sons of the Egyptians. Or perhaps the angel that struck 70,000 Israelites to death, and the angel that single-handedly killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night. When they appear in the Bible, they aren't described as having wings. In fact, they look like any ordinary person. In the later biblical texts, such as Daniel, some even get names: Gabriel, Raphael, and Michael. Okay, this all sounds familiar, but they're not quite the nightmare material freak abominations we saw before. The angels, known as malach, are not the only heavenly beings in the Bible. There's a hierarchy of them, And depending on who you ask, your classic humanoid angels are actually pretty far down the ladder. In the Middle Ages, a Jewish scholar known as Maimonides drew up a hierarchy of angels. And if you look here, your classic humanoid angels, the malach, are pretty low down, but not quite as low as cherubim. Forget those chubby winged angels. According to the Bible, cherubim are animal-human hybrids. The first time we see them is in the book of Genesis, right after Adam and Eve have been kicked out the garden. Their job is to guard the Garden of Eden from mankind. Our best description of a cherubim comes from the book of Ezekiel. It opens with the prophet experiencing a profound vision. In his vision, Ezekiel describes them as living creatures, but they're later revealed in chapter 10 as cherubim. His account is as follows. In the middle of it was something like 4 living creatures. This was their appearance. They were of human form. Each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and their soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands, and the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each of them moved straight ahead, without turning as they moved. As for the appearance of their faces, the 4 had the face of a human being, the face of a lion on their right side, the face of an ox on their left side, and the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread out above. Each creature had 2 wings, each of which touched the wing of another, while 2 covered their bodies. Each moved straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they went, without turning as they went. In the middle of the living creatures, there was something that looked like burning coals of fire, like torches moving to and fro among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and lightning issued from the fire. The living creatures darted to and fro, like a flash of lightning. The cherubim don't look like your average angel. Instead, they look more like the mythical beasts in ancient Mesopotamia, especially the Babylonian Iyamasu, which is the wings of an eagle, the body of a lion, and the head of a king. These would act as guardians to sacred places like temples, or the palace, or city walls, and performed a similar role to the biblical cherubim. They look similar to their Egyptian cousin, the Sphinx, or the Hittite griffin. Many believe that these biblical angels were descendants of these mythological creatures from Mesopotamia. There would have been a lot of cultural exchange, and the same sorts of mythical creatures would crop up across these regions. Cherubim in later Christianity may have been imported from Greek and Roman myths, borrowing from the shapes of Cupid or Pluto. Moving up the list, we get these guys, seraphim. They have 6 wings, 2 used for flying, and the other pair for covering the angel's face, and a third pair for covering the angel's feet. They're described in the book of Isaiah as follows. Seraphs were in attendance above him. Each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, and with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called the other and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, and the whole earth is full of his glory. In medieval Christian theology, seraphim is the highest choir of the angelic hierarchy. They are the caretakers of God's throne. Again, continuously singing, holy, 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 all day, every day. So seraphim, their name comes from the word seraph, to burn. So seraphim may mean something like the burning ones. Okay, well, where do they come from? Going further into seraphim's name reveals its origins. The Hebrew word for a venomous serpent of the desert is saraph. In ancient Egypt, the cobra was often referred to as the flaming one, an image of which, called a uraeus, was worn by the pharaoh. Thus, saraph may be the Hebrew term for cobra, and perhaps where our seraphim get their winged appearance from. Now we're getting to the strangest beings in the Bible, the Ophanim, or simply known as the wheels. They're a pair of interlocking gold wheels with eyes around the outside, and they hover and float in the sky. In the same vision as before, Ezekiel describes them alongside the cherubim. Quote, As I looked to the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, one for each of the 4 of them. As for the appearance of the wheels and their construction, their appearance was like the gleaming of beryl, and the 4 had the same form, their construction being something like a wheel within a wheel. When they moved in any of the 4 directions without veering as they moved. Their rims were tall and awesome, for the rims of all 4 were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them. And when the living creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose. Wherever the Spirit would go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them. The spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The wheels are beings who are meant to carry God's throne, making them some of the holiest and certainly the strangest beings in the Bible. Where do these wheels come from? Well, no one really knows this one. Conspiracy theorists believe that Ezekiel is describing UFO due to its strange shape and movement. Or perhaps, seeing that this all takes place in a trippy vision, it could be the product of the prophet ingesting a psychedelic plant. More grounded scholars interpret the wheels metaphorically, a standard for God's unknowability or some other, often quite elaborate interpretation. But ultimately, no one really knows much more about the wheels. They're never mentioned anywhere else. There is some confusion about whether these eldritch abominations, known as cherubim, seraphim, or ophani, are really actually angels. Perhaps heavenly being is a better description of them. Whatever it may be, the Bible's view of heaven is not the exclusive domain of these beautiful winged humanoids. If heaven is in fact real, you'll likely be spending a literal eternity alongside these winged monstrosities instead. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of this video. I enjoyed this one about angels and their creep.
Okay, guys, you could check out Hochelaga, and let's get back to our broadcast. Now, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about. I have studied theology at the university level, and I think they have a lot of misconception. Louis Claude de Saint-Martin said, "The overwhelming misfortune of man is not that he is ignorant of the truth, but that he misconstrues its nature." Okay, so now you just saw an artist's rendering of what the prophet Ezekiel saw in his encounters with angels. That looks like aliens. That would be like aliens, right? That looks exactly like what people describe as alien encounters. Or it could be that he got a hold of some really cool mushrooms and had himself quite the trip. It could be either one of them. But I am not going to speculate as to what was happening with Ezekiel, although the whole book of Ezekiel is a book of horror. Okay, but we're going to get into that today. Okay, all right, let's talk about angels. I said I was in gangster mode, so I'm going to give it to the audience straight. You guys have an idea of angels. Some guy with wings. There are no female angels. That's kind of suspect. Some guy with wings that comes down and he has white flowing robes and he delivers God's messages and so on. No. In the Old Testament, they were the dreadest beings ever. The body count of the angels in the Old Testament is huge. And why would they put Revelation at the end of the New Testament? You see, there's a whole bunch of issues that I have with Christianity and most Abrahamic religions. Why does everything have to end in bloodshed and violence? It's like you're writing a book and there's no happy ending. Okay, there's no happy ending. Okay, so the God of the Old Testament, I don't want to get too much into theology. Actually, I do want to get into theology because this is the gangster persona has to come out. If you disrespected God in the Old Testament, he would send an angel after you. And what that would look like for you would be something along the lines of this. The angel would come to you or come to where you live, and there would be, well, I am disrespecting God and everybody around me is disrespecting God. An angel would be like, I'm killing you, your family, your friends, all the cockroaches in your house, your entire city block, the entire geographical region where you live. You feel me? So we're talking about them at gangster level. And if you don't believe me, please go read Ezekiel 9 in the Bible, right? If you hear how this messenger of God is talking, I'll explain this to you. So, for those of you who are not Christian, who don't care about Christianity, you kind of should, because it's a good reference point for a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing, whether you're esoterically inclined or whatever else. And I'll tell you why. So, this angel in Ezekiel chapter 9 says to Ezekiel, yeah, God sent me, and he said that you need to put an ink drawing on the houses of the faithful. Yeah, just make sure that that's done. Yeah, after that, we're killing everybody else. Okay. And what that looks like, is spare ye not old men or young children. He says that. It's like written down in the Bible. I'm like, what the hell? Like, do you have no mercy? Like anger management classes for you. Okay? There is no conflict resolution in the Old Testament. Okay? You piss off God, everybody dies. Everybody dies. We're going to get into the story of Lot, the story of Job. All of these things are intolerance. Okay? And you wonder why Christians are the way they are, right? You wonder why the world is in the state. You read that, you graft it onto your thinking, and the result is usually not good. Amir, I'll let you jump in here.
Well, it's interesting that you speak about gangster mode. It seems that the quote-unquote God of antiquity is a full-on gangster that takes no nonsense. It's the system of domination and control on steroids, on horse steroids. Okay? Seems that today, living in this 21st century, we've got it easy. Our ancestors went through a much more brutal system of domination and control. And it's absolutely that. You do what I say, otherwise I'll wipe out everything, even the weeds that grow in your geographic location. I'll make it a way that not even a tree can grow, just because you didn't do what I said. Oof, narcissism as yet never seen. That's crazy. And yet our ancestors have reported these events, again, biblical. It's become the word, the metaphor for stuff that's insanely out of order. And yet it's reported by our ancestors throughout the earth. There is no culture that excludes these beings and their wrath, and how brutally they just eliminated whole batches of people as we're their, experimental petri dishes. Okay, this batch is off. Into the oven they go. Off with this batch, let's create a new batch. So yeah, this is brutal. And by the way, being a spiritual person myself, a student of spirituality and seeking enlightenment, that doesn't really sound like the prime creator to me, which is all grace, unconditional love, infinite growth, highest good of all, creation, abundance, beauty. So that insanity, it sounds like we're dealing with an entity which is a narcissistic sociopath with a bunch of foot soldiers, enforcers, right? So these angels are badass enforcers. They come down and poof, there goes one civilization. Why? You didn't do what I said. No mercy, no forgiveness. That sounds really awful. And yet the existence of these beings. Okay, so something I would like to just state at the very beginning of our discussion. I'm going to take away any interpretation I have or conclusions I have. I'm just going to talk about what I've experienced and what I know to be true. That yes, if you're even slightly into spirituality, meditation, and seeking enlightenment, you're going to come across these guys. And I have. In fact, all the varieties that were mentioned in the video we saw, I have experienced encounters with these guys. And to say that they're less than pleasant is not an exaggeration. They're not pleasant, okay? So I'm not going to even pretend what they are, to know what they are or where they come from. The only thing that I know to be true is that there seems to be a whole variety of consciousness beyond humanity. That I know to be true. Now, calling them different names and making claims to know what their nature is, what their mission is, where they come from, I don't know. But they exist. And if you haven't experienced them, well, I'm not here to prove anything to you. Please become more interesting. Stand out from the crowd and you'll get your visit. So
Amer is a better man than I am. Me, I'm just going to go by what I have read and what other people have experienced, and I'm going to lay it all out there for you guys.
David,
and we're going to go story by story. We're going to go story by story. Yes, we are. Okay, so first of all, in that film we just watched, you're talking about an angel that could wipe out 70,000 people in one go, in one night. Technologically speaking, there is one thing that we know that can do that, right? Right? There's only one weapon we know that can do that kind of damage.
It comes with a mushroom cloud.
Suggest that the angels of the Old Testament had their finger on a little red button. Like, you dissing us? No. Press. Right? And everybody goes up in a mushroom cloud and wondering what the hell. To the people of the Old Testament, this would look magical and fantastical. To us nowadays, it's like something we would like to avoid because Hiroshima was just the other day.
Yeah.
That's number one. Let's examine Lot's wife. I know a lot of you have not read your Bible since never. So I'm going to go through it with you guys. There was a place called Sodom and Gomorrah where we get the word sodomy from, right? And there was no pride movements back then, okay? So Sodom and Gomorrah, twin towns and so on, and they practiced homosexual love and they had orgies and they were having a grand old time. One of the things that angels are popular for in the Bible is ruining everybody's good time, okay? And so they weren't listening to God's word, which says, yeah, we're not into the gay pride thing. We're going to kill you, all right? So God sent a messenger to tell Lot. Lot was a faithful servant of Christ. And because Christ was not a thing then. Faithful servant of God, and he says to Lot, God sent me to tell you, get your wife and your kids and all your belongings and leave this area, please, and don't look back because no, I just said so, just don't look back, okay? So Lot, being the faithful servant of the Lord, packed up his kids, his family, and they left the place. Now, I want you guys to imagine that I come to your house and I tell you, hi, leave your house and don't look back. You're gonna look back.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story of Lot's wife. So they're walking away as God is sending what presumably looks like a meteorite to eradicate the entire town, okay? And they're walking away, and guess what? Lot's wife looks back. I mean, my kids used to go to school there. We have friends, they're dying. I might look back. You want to know what happened to Lot's wife? She turned into a pillar of salt. Now, I have questions. Amer, I have questions. First of all, turning into a pillar of salt, it might not be salt. It might be that she got irradiated by something that atomized her and turned her into dust, yes. Right? So I have questions. Why didn't your wife just got nuked, for want of a better word? You still walking in the same direction where I said, God said to keep walking. God said to keep walking. I'm a faithful servant of God. My man, do you love this woman or not?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe it was happy to get rid of her.
A little bit of that inverted comma salt with you. But
Thank
seriously,
you, God. Thanks for freeing me from this evil woman, you know? Because he seemed to be walking happily.
that looks like Old Testament divorce, if you ask me. Well, I could hear the thought patterns that create stuff like this. It's like, well, bitch, did I stutter? I told you not to look back. You look back. So it's not my fault, right?
Yeah, I'm God. I'm not your bitch ass husband. Boom. There you go.
Right? Just like I told you not to look back. I didn't stutter. You looked back, and now you're a pillar of salt.
Boom.
Right? These are the kinds of things that we want to examine. I can't have these discussions with Christians because when I start to talk, I am the worst sacrilegious blasphemer that there is. Okay? But I got questions. I have questions. The technology that is being utilized in the Bible to kill off whole cross sections of people is remarkable. We know what that sounds like. We do. I gotta ask these questions, okay? Jericho, technology. Now, as an example, the walls of Jericho. Anyway, we're going story by story because the angels are involved in all of this, okay? And so there was this town, Jericho, once again, you see, in the Old Testament, you had to have a special level of stupid to diss Abrahamic God, right? You had to have a special, but they were dissing God. They put up their big walls and they figure, we're safe inside here, right? So angel goes to a bunch of God's warriors and says to them, could you march around the city for 7 days? Right? March around the city for 7 days and then blow your horns at the top, the trumpets or whatever, at the top of their range. What does that sound like? It sounds like a sonic weapon, does it not? Because if you march around my house, hundreds of you march around my house, for 7 days, you're going to destabilize my foundation. If you blow horns, that is going to crumble the walls and everybody dies. Okay? Now, I'm quite sure the people of the Old Testament wouldn't have the know-how and the technology to execute something like that. Right? So somebody was advising them on how to kill these mofos. Okay? Anybody that this God is going to be a problem. And this is why I say that we have to go into gangster mode to talk about angels and aliens, because obviously they had a superior understanding of technology.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
In order to create sonic weapons out of basically horseback riders. Okay. And then there's the whole Revelation thing. Amir, seriously?
Yes, absolutely. You see, when you describe what's happening, it sounds like they've used the natural resonant frequency of the superstructure of the wall, matching it and crumbling it. We're slowly today approaching this kind of technology where it's used in basically all sorts of ways, on humans and on structures. There's videos of bridges collapsing just by gentle breeze because the principle wasn't known back in the 1920s and 30s. Nowadays, any civil engineer will tell you considerations like this are made in building structures like skyscrapers and dams, bridges. But yes, I completely agree. There's technology being used here. Technology that goes from nukes, sonic weapons, biological weapons, causing earthquakes, causing tsunamis. And let's look at what's happening. Quote unquote, the faithful are being saved and everybody else is being wiped out. It sounds to me like some sort of genetic experiment has been going on our species. Mm-hmm. And some batch of us humans or half monkeys or however these people, these creatures are looking at us. One batch has gone bad. Okay, out in the dustbin. We'll start with a new batch. Right? So what happens when one batch has to be gone? It's got to be gone, right? As in not to mix and breed with the new sample, with the new specimen, upgraded version. And then you look at, the steps that have been taken in ancient times, spirituality, magic, things that would today be considered quote unquote supernatural abilities were more commonplace. It seems that as a result of whatever this manipulation has been, our species has been restricted genetically, spiritually, mentally, and most importantly, socially. So these Abrahamic religions all correspond with each other. You do this, elsewise we're going to burn you, not just once, over and over and over. Okay, that sounds mental to me. Okay, sadistic, forget about that. That's burning something one time. But recreating it again and burning it again and doing this perpetually, that's insanity. So we're not dealing with people or beings that are rational, moral, or gracious in any way, kind of form. Okay, so they exist. It seems that they've interacted with us for a very long time and it's made it into our culture and our religion.
Here's the thing. To support your point, I am going to keep it real with the Christians that are watching this broadcast. I'm going to keep it real. Angels were messengers, Malachi. Okay, yeah. They are messengers, Malak. Right? And so sometimes they didn't bring the best of news. I'm going to give two examples to support Amir's point. The first example that I'm going to bring is the story of the birth of Christ. Now you have the Virgin Mary who got pregnant. I'm going to go there. I am going to go there. You have the Virgin Mary who got artificially inseminated. And an angel goes to Joseph and say, oh, by the way, your baby daddy. And Joseph is like, really? He says, yes, this is the Son of God. You absolutely will be the baby daddy. And yeah, by the way, she's the Virgin Mary, so they'll be touching her. Okay? So this woman is a virgin who got artificially inseminated. Even if, listen, oh my God, even listen, if you are a Christian, if you are a rational thinking person, this woman got artificially inseminated, whether you like it or not, right? With a being that had supernatural, inverted commas, ability.
That's exactly, David, what I was thinking. Absolutely right. Quote unquote, supernatural. And by all testimony from his life, he was supernatural, right? So he demonstrated healing in a degree to such a level that I don't know anybody today capable of this. And it's all basically maybe human 2.0. He
Correct.
Certainly was something very special. There's no doubt about that. He left a lasting effect in humanity. That cannot be denied. The gentleman was extraordinary, both in ability and in morality. So that's an interesting one. Now it seems the experiment is going towards a very interesting direction. So where the rest of the Jesus beings? What happened to him? Why did it stop? You see, maybe it became too good, too fast, and they didn't want us to be like that. And look at what happened to the gentleman at the end of his life. So is that accidental? Or why wasn't this person revered until he was aged 90, then buried in a temple with countless people coming to visit, paying their respect? Why such a terrifying and terrible end?
Okay, so I'm going to get into this, right? Because let me explain something to you. In the Old Testament, you discard, you're dead. In the New Testament, oh, I think I'll send my son to die for them. That does not make rational sense. Let me explain something to you. If you conceive of God as omnipotent and he's everywhere and he knows everything, then he would know that the first experiment would have failed. Like, beat them into submission through like nukes and shit, right? Yeah. So, but then he sends his son to die for them. And it doesn't, like, critical thinking is dead when you imbibe religion into your mind, okay? It's critical thinking is dead. So you have this being that is created that is half God, half human. Well, there have been stories like that in, guess where? Greek and Roman mythology. Perseus. Who else? And all of these beings had supernatural ability and the ability to use supernatural weapons. Okay, supernatural weapons. Hercules, remember him? Strong guy. Perseus. All of these people had supernatural abilities and they were demigods, right? And their, how should I say, their progenation came from gods having sex with humans, impregnating them, and so on. This is not a new story. This is a very old story that has been rewritten and rewritten. And at some point in time, you guys have got to come to the conclusion that if people in Greece, people from all over the world, in India, right, are saying the same things, then it tends to suggest that there is a common denominator, that there are beings that are interfering with the normal process of human evolution, okay? And then, of course, there are beings, humans that chose not to listen. Let me tell you the story of Job in the Bible. God says to Job, you're going to write my, hi, I just want you to write my, my bio, if you could. And Job says, well, I'm going fishing right now, but as soon as I get back, I'll get right on that. Okay? God sent an angel to tell him that. So the angel says, bitch, go ahead. Go fishing. Job goes fishing. Ends up in a whale stomach. For how many days was it? 40 days or some nonsense like that? Can you imagine? Like you go fishing and you end up as fish food? But seriously. So these are the kinds of things that we have to consider when it is that we are talking about angels and aliens, because the technology that is being demonstrated is technology that we actually have an idea about. We know what can kill 70,000 people. We know what a meteorite strike could do. Yes. Maybe it may not have been a meteor. It might have been something more basic, like a projectile missile, as an example, right? And ICBM would do that as well. And to ancient peoples, those technologies would be like, oh, it's God, literally, oh God, right? It would be that thing. But Amira, let's even talk about Revelation. Very interesting book, lots of angels in there. And as I said, when it comes to talking about religion, you don't want to get into an argument with me on religion. I'll tell you why. Because the gangster level in religion is over the top. I mean, like, okay, so we're not listening to God, but this is what's going to happen if we don't listen, right? I'm sending you the 4 horsemen. I'm sending you beasts with 7 heads. It's like a horror show on steroids. Like everything you could run into there, we're sending mutants. We're sending all different kinds of things at you. This is the kind of thing that we need to discuss. The people in ancient Egypt, these poor people, Pharaoh said, well, why didn't you I told you to let my people go. You didn't let them go. So you know what? I'll just kill all your firstborn. That batch. That batch, right? Right? And then, oh, I'm sorry. You could imagine this angel sitting down thinking, what are we going to F you up today with? Let's see. Oh, frogs. Let's send them frogs. Oh, wait. Let's turn the whole river into blood. You take a drink from the river, you're drinking blood. Sick. But oh, no. I don't know. I'm running out of ideas. Locust. Genetically enhanced locusts that apparently seem to have the thought pattern that we're just plaguing that area. Locusts don't act that way. You gotta do something to them to make them act that way. Listen, guys, when it is that people start talking to you guys about aliens, or when people start talking to you about angels, the angels discussion, it opens up your mind because you don't have to think. That's what God said, and that's all we care about. The alien discussion requires you to think. I have an unfortunate amount of critical thinking. I tend to think too much for my own good. And so I'm thinking these Bible stories and the stories in the Gita and the stories in the Quran are very interesting to me because they are introducing technology that we know about, right? We know that sonic weapons exist. An opera singer can break a glass with his or her voice easily. So we know what is possible, okay? Back then, they didn't know what was possible. They just know that it worked. God sent me to kill you all. I'm just going to march around your city. I'm going to crumble your walls, and that's it. But the information that was given to these people to do those things is technologically advanced, right?
So, David, I just want to bring another aspect into the discussion, which is, what are we as human beings?
Mm-hmm.
Why all this fuss about humans and creating hybrids with us? Well, the truth is that we're infinite creator beings, unlimited cosmic creator beings. And once one reaches enhanced level of awareness of this, our manifestation begins to flourish. So we are, in terms of hierarchy, above all of these other beings that we're speaking of. We're just choosing to experience this physical incarnation because of its extreme density, because of the extreme level of limitation placed upon us. It's a very tough game to play. It's a game that only superior beings will dare join. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, although we're playing this game and suffer amnesia and limitation, suffer again, we're playing a really difficult game, we keep properties of what we really are. So look at even the bodies we occupy. We're extraordinary specimens, masterpieces of nature. Look how incredibly adaptable we are, how intelligent we are, how resilient we are to disease. And look at the world, the environment that we have conquered. I mean, look at our population. And any being looking at even just the physical aspect of human beings will be in awe at this incredible, in the words of Andrew Bartz's, skin suit technology, high technology. That's going to be rare. Maybe there are other versions of bodies elsewhere in the universe. There's nothing unique about this patch of the universe that doesn't exist everywhere else. We're the unique thing. Okay, so it makes sense that, excuse me, so as infinite beings with infinite power, while we're playing this game of, okay, I can kick your butt with my arms tied behind my back, my legs bound, my eyes closed, and by the way, my ears closed. So we're pretty much crawling in dirt, playing this game of kick-ass with each other. Now comes a sneaky being saying, oh, okay, I want a sample of your light. Oh, please, I would like a sample of your genome. Your bodies are badass. I would like to enhance my own species with it. I would like to enhance my own spirit with it by taking pieces of our DNA, pieces of our light, of that infinite being. So we're the prize here. So again, it seems that although they, and something else I would like to add, and this is my personal experience, whatever the nature and source of these conscious beings is, they seem to have a very different understanding of morality and of emotion. They have zero grasp of the amount of fear, horror, and pain they cause. They can't experience it anywhere near to the extent that we humans feel emotion. So one of the prizes of playing this tough game is the privilege of feeling deep emotion. That's a very rare experience in the whole existence of, let's say, creation, okay, for all its infinite extent. So the morality is not there. My personal experiences, their manners suck. They are rude, okay? And then have they ever induced fear in me? No, rather they've actually pissed me off. And then I can sense in them the sense of horror. Oh my God, here comes the 4-year-old with a lightsaber. Oh my God, we've pissed off the infinite creator being who doesn't know who he is yet. And in fact, when you start manifesting, you out-manifest anything they have, technological or spiritual. So I'm not of the belief that they are superior in any way, shape, or form, rather opportunistic thieves, that while humanity, our collective, our glorious collective, has chosen to play this game of I can kick your butt with all my limbs bound and my eyes closed, here they come and pick your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So let them deal with us when we're awoken. They will not dare.
Now, I want to actually reverse and go back in time because people think that this entire story started in the Garden of Eden, and that would be a Christian thing. It started in heaven, and there was this angel who got pissed off because God created us. Okay? And his name was Lucifer, the morning star, the most beautiful of all God's angels. And he started shit in heaven. And the sword of heaven, along with God, cast Michael. You guys are afraid of the devil. You should be afraid of Michael and Gabriel.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they took the devil and put him in a lake of fire, what does that sound like to you? Anyway, if you took the devil and put him in a lake of fire, where all of us, like Amir, you and I are going into the lake of fire, just in case you're wondering, but that's okay because you'll have something to light that pipe. So anyway, as I say, if they were the badasses that put him down there, you should be afraid of them. I want to say something here. I want to segue. When you go to some of these healers, they say to you, pray to the angel Gabriel, pray to the angel Michael. No, I'm good. You can imagine you having marital problems. Okay, Amir? You go and then you start praying to the guy who slaughtered 70,000 people back in Israel. Like, how's that going to work out for your husband or your spouse? Right? You imagine, oh, Michael, could you deal with my marital problems? No, he's not going to deal with your marital problems. Are you for real? If you're going to be praying to something, deal with your shit yourself. You are an infinite creation. Okay? Deal with that stuff yourself. Don't ask Michael and Gabriel to come in and intervene because they have no sense of scaling their reactions down. Okay? So you had this dispute in heaven. Lucifer gets cast out, and now he's against this creation. So he's tempting us to do one thing, and God's angels are tempting us to do another thing. Okay? And there's no centrist position. You either on one side or you're on the other side. Okay? Because if you start thinking for yourself, that's a bad thing. That would be what we call sacrilege. If you start thinking for yourself, like poor Adam, remember him? I put you in this little clone center. He got all sorts of fruits and all sorts of things. Just don't press that button. Apple. Just don't press that button. Why would you put the apple there? Why would you put it there? Why? And you know what? If I was Adam, like you tell me, oh, don't eat from that tree. I'm cutting the tree down and burning it.
Yes.
The first day I'm cutting the tree down and burning it. Leave no stone unturned. Burn the tree. Cut it down, burn it. It doesn't produce any more fruit. And humanity is saved. Right? So his wife goes and eats the apple. By the way, the whole cloning thing, taking a rib from his side and making the woman, right? Like, okay, you made the woman. And once again, we got to deal with the fact that there are no female angels in the Bible. Error. Okay.
I think it's an error because there are those Victoria's Secret models. Let's say second-class citizens. First are the chubby baby ones.
Anyway,
they come in the Victoria's Secret form.
So they make this cloning experiment, and the clone is not, it does what it wants, right? Clone runs up to the tree, picks the apple, chomp, 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 right? And all of a sudden, oh, we're naked. I didn't realize we were naked before. Really? 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 And God comes down and says, why are you hiding? Oh, because you're naked? Oh, how do you know you're naked? That means that you found out that you were naked from something, which means that you ate from the tree of, guess what? Knowledge. What does the tree of knowledge sound like to you in the Jewish tradition?
It tree of life,
like
yes.
Kabbalah, doesn't it?
Yeah. The fundamentals of the universe, creation, magic, knowledge, spirituality, the energy system of the body, so much in there.
So they ate from the tree, they became naked, God got pissed, threw them out, and if they were the only two beings on earth, then that would make Cain and Abel, and then all of Noah's children. Look, the incest level, let's not get into that. All I'm saying that if they were the only two beings on earth, where did these other people come from that you just drowned in a giant flood? You made it rain until everybody drowned. That's I sit down and I think about these things, Amir, and I really shouldn't, because it leaves my mind in a little bit of a twist, right? But the fact that these angels are mercenary, they only execute commands, suggests that they do not have free will. Okay?
Correct. Yes.
They're
or morality
programmed to do whatever.
Yeah.
Right? That demiurge allows them to do. Okay? Kind of like, you mean like AIs, robots?
Exactly what I was thinking. Yes, they're optimized to carry out their task. There is no if, why, but, how. It's just execute to the most efficient degree that you can and get creative about it. So there comes the genetically enhanced locust. That's the definition of AI. It's a problem solver. And of course, there's no morality, free will, or emotion. It's just execute task executed, back to home, back to getting recharged. They sound a little bit like the Borg from Star Trek.
Yeah, you remember We Are the Borg? Your resistance is futile.
Resistance
is futile. It's all right. And so this is basically what we want to examine in terms of the angels/alien connection, right? I could switch any religion right now and the precepts would still hold true. If I went to the older religions, the Olympian religions, you have Zeus and he has this thunderbolt, you see. And when he throws the thunderbolt, bad things happen, really, really bad things, right? Because he gets angry and like there's thunder and stuff like that, right? And then he has sex with humans because Zeus was a full-on rapist. Andrew's Greek. Sorry, Andrew. Right? Zeus was a full-on rapist. This man raped his way across the entire Greek mythology. So let me ask you guys this. Why is it when in Greek stories, when the god rapes a nymph, as an example, which is a being that's somewhere in between the gods and whatever, there were a lot of aliens in Greek mythology, because you got the demigods like Hercules, which are a hybrid god and hybrid human. You got the nymphs. You got a whole bunch of different beasts inside there. The Minotaur. I don't even want to get into how that was created. Let's just leave that alone.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want to get into how that's created, but yeah, like really kinky people back in the day, right? And so you have a whole bunch, of hybrid creatures, right? That could not have naturally evolved based on what they are saying. right? So why is it that you call the Greek stories mythology and you call your Christian stories with the same hybridism religion? Why? Somebody, I mean, I'll wait for the explanation. I'll wait for it. Because it's the same kinds of stories, right? Because when the gods got upset, bad things happen. Apollo, if he didn't like you, he would take away the wind. So you can't sail. Neptune, god of the sea, he doesn't like you. What happened to Odysseus, right? You can't get home because you need to get into a boat to get home, right? Because, you know, US Airlines wasn't operating at the time. So you got to get into a boat to get home. But Neptune says, well, you can't get home. So I'm going to throw you all around the world. Okay. These are the kinds of things that I actually do think about due to the fact that when you are talking about angels, it sounds a lot like alien tech. And we know these devices now. We have come a little way. We figured it out for ourselves.
Yes. Absolutely.
Which tends to suggest that we are unlimited in the way we can develop. But I think that there's a certain amount of limitations when you're dealing with angels. They are effective. They are brutal as shit, right? And they can only do what the creator programs them to do.
Yes, again, it's interesting that you say the creator of these beings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, correct. The programmer that codes the AI, that through technology creates these beings. Okay, just because their source may not be physical, they come from somewhere else, doesn't mean that they're not capable, they're not intelligent. That's certainly not the case. Mm-hmm. And the creator, I'm going to make the distinction here daringly, is not the prime creator, is not that mystery that is the source of all creation. It is a being writing computer code with technology, with an objective to pick our pockets while we're playing dumbass. Yeah, while we're in our slumber, playing I can kick your butt with my arms and legs tied. Oh, I'm gonna up the ante. I'm gonna close my eyes too. Oh, really? Okay, I'm gonna wipe my memory clean. Let's see how hard we can make this shit. And yes, that's the state of humanity, right? And then comes this opportunist being looking, oh my God, look at these crazy idiots. Look at what they're doing to each other. Okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to mix them with a buffalo, see what that looks like. Here comes the Minotaur. And meanwhile, we're here still playing dumbass, you know, experiencing emotion, enjoying ourselves. And by the way, it's highly addictive, okay? Please do not underestimate the value of this experience we're having in the human body. It's the envy of existence. Not everybody gets to play, not everybody can buy tickets. So the fact that we are here now, it means that as beings, we are highly, highly elevated in the hierarchy of existence. And guess what? As a collective of humanity, we agreed to this. Let's play this incredible game that's going to get twisted, okay? Like, you know, it reminds me of these Japanese TV shows that are twisted, okay? If you're looking at it, if you're looking at it from a different culture, it looks, oh, boo, what are these crazy people doing? But guess what? They're enjoying this. They're enjoying themselves. And that's what's happening to us. This depth of emotion, both ecstasy and sadness, pleasure and pain. This is rich. This is something that is valued above everything. So while we're down here playing dumbass and with amnesia, with our arms and legs tied, of course, there's going to be parasitic entities who come along and try to manipulate the game. Okay, that's what's happening.
I submit to you, because I was musing about this, that probably we weren't thrown out of the Garden of Eden. We were thrown out of our own power, our own realization, our own memories, right? We ate from the tree of knowledge, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a mental block. I forget who I am. I forget that I am a spiritual being. I start reading Cosmo and going on Facebook and listening to Amir and David, right? Right? You forget.
It seems, David, it's not the tree of knowledge. It's the tree of dum-dum. You eat it and you become stupid.
Right. And so I get the feeling that we have been locked off from who we are, because certainly for anybody who's been meditating for a long time, all right, and I don't mean a long time like thousands of years or decades or whatever else, right? If you've been meditating for 5 years, you know that there are higher faculties. It's not a matter of, oh, I believe that there are higher faculties. You know it. You can access them all of a sudden. Okay?
Absolutely.
You can access them. So if you know that that thing exists, you have to reasonably assess that maybe there's a reason why you were locked off from it before you started meditating. Because it's a ladder that you have to climb up.
Yes.
And if you climb up that ladder, then I believe that you can actually find yourself in a state where, oh, Eureka,
Yes.
I am a limitless being. I can do anything. You remember that Lion King verse? I am the Lion King. I can do anything.
Yeah. Yes.
And it really pains me to see people who accept limitations. They argue for their own limitations, right? And they say, you can't do this and you can't do that. And then the religious people enforce it. Oh, no, you mustn't do this. You mustn't question that. You mustn't question this. Listen, seriously? Yeah, question. Because questioning is going to lead you down a particular path where you have to admit at some point in time that I am everything.
Yes. Ooh, David, how beautifully you just put this. Now, esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen, as David says, it doesn't take a lifetime of meditation to kickstart that process of releasing the illusion, of just taking off your eye covering, starting to see, untying your hands, because you're tying your own hands for the enhanced experience of this dense physical reality. And it's interesting, as you start awakening, these beings manifest themselves to you in different shapes. Maybe they start with the chubby little baby angel, and then they move on to the Victoria's Secret hot angel, and then they come as the winged animals with different heads and so on. So it's very much a non-physical being, intelligent being, choosing consciously how to introduce itself to you. And then comes the full circles, the wheels spinning with light inside. And after that, none of these happen. It becomes completely telepathic, much more respectful because they know you're at the cusp. And once you go over a certain boundary, they do not mess with you anymore out of fear.
Yep, I'm going to refer to the Bible again because I tend to do that. I could refer to the Gita as well because there's similar verses in there. God made man in his own image. You know what that says? God made man in his own image. You think it's because God looks like me? Or we're different races and so on. What image are you? The image that you're talking about is that the spiritual nature of man is infinite. And those beings that you are referring to, some of you all try to conjure them, some of you all try to work with them. And I'm like, no, they're not limitless, right? Anytime you have a being riding you, you are the dumbest horse on the market, okay?
The dumbest, smartest horse, okay?
The dumbest, smartest horse on the market, right? Anytime you have any being riding you, if you're working with any beings and you think that they're more powerful than you, you have to be kidding me, right? I was having a discussion. I had a channeler at my house a few weeks ago, and we were having a discussion, and this channeler channels an entity called Josiah. And we were having a very interesting discussion. And he said to me, you know, David, from what I can gather from my channeling is that we create our own reality. He is absolutely correct. We create our own reality. And you know what that says? It says that there is power unlimited within you. Okay?
Bingo. Yes.
And here's the thing that people they can't conceptualize it. They can't conceptualize. If I'm unlimited and I'm all powerful, and you're unlimited and you're all powerful, then the two can't coincide together. No, they can. Because then you're going to raise your thinking up another notch. And you want to know what that notch is? We are all part of a generalized creation, and we share its unlimited power. So when you raise your thinking to that level, and I want you guys to hear me, right? Because this is getting complicated, so I'm going to break this down for you. When you raise your thinking to that level, there is no birth, there is no death. There is no harm, there is no hurt. There is no time and there is no space.
Yes.
And once you understand these concepts and these precepts, then you are at God level thinking. You're at boss level in the video game. Okay?
Yes. Absolutely.
You're at boss level at the video game.
That's the identity, remembering your identity. Mm-hmm. That you are, in fact, an unlimited, omnipotent, cosmic, infinite, divine creator being. That's what our nature is. We are creator beings, creating this stupid show, because the result, the reward of this limitation is enhanced emotion and experience, right? Who would deliberately go into this hardship other than some being that has nothing left to prove? Saying, okay, I've been there, done that. Let's do something so tough, so difficult that nobody else can do. That's us. Mm-hmm. So please, ladies and gentlemen, remember your truth. And please do meditate. And please reinforce this to yourself. You know, David and I have spoken to some extent about transcendental meditation and what the mantras mean and what they do. You're just gently reminding yourself, I am infinite. I am the creator. What I think is, I am the light, I am the void, I am the creator. And when you repeat this, it doesn't take years. David, how long does a full round of transcendental meditation take? If you're really persistent, I think 3 months.
Yes.
And it just transforms.
Look, the power of transcendental meditation is that it's your natural state to transcend.
Yes.
And so what is not natural is what you are in. When you think, I am limited by this or that or the third, that would be unnatural.
Yes.
Okay. So every time that word can't comes out of your mouth, ponder it for a moment and think, is what I'm saying actually true?
Exactly.
Because if it is not, is it really congruent? People lie to themselves every day. You want to know what's hidden in the word can't? What's hidden in the word can't is I don't want to try. Too much effort.
Yes.
That's what's hidden there. Right? And then people will say, well, David, you know, there's some people who really, really can't. Right? No. An angel can't. He can't do what he wants.
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
By function of free will. Listen to me. You can. You absolutely can. And so these are the kinds of things that we want to take into consideration. But we wanted to have a discussion on the concept of aliens and so on. So you just saw the graphics there, right? You got, now, absolutely. Let's say this guy was on mushrooms. Let's just say he was on mushrooms. You mean to tell me that you got a bunch of people all around the world that are having the same mushroom trip? No.
Exactly. Yes.
No, they're not.
Throughout time, throughout human history and different continents where the same mushroom doesn't grow everywhere. You see what I mean? Now, even if it was the result of mushrooms, the fact that we're all having the same experience is still fascinating.
Correct.
Right? Because it's digging into different levels of reality that is commonly shared between us. So again, let's not try to pretend we know every single thing consciously, okay? In this form, there's stuff that we do not know. However, our logical, critical thinking can give us directions. There is a reality that if you walk towards, you will experience. It's similar no matter what age you are, what gender you are, what race you are, and what time in the span of time for the whole illusory thing that it is you do this attempt. That's called the scientific method. It's valid, it's reliable, it's repeatable, it's dependable. Mm-hmm. That's the definition of the scientific method. So you can do this experiment over and over across the ocean of time, any point on Earth, you're getting the same result. That should tell you something, that the fact that our ancestors have reported this, there's no exception. There is no culture that has not reported this in one way or a form. The similarities are beyond accidental. You cannot, I mean, statistically speaking, okay, I'm a mathematician, you cannot deny the significance of this. It just stands out like a sore thumb. It is highly significant, okay, over standard deviation, 3, 4 times, 10 times over standard deviation. You can't ignore, mathematically speaking, the significance of what we're speaking of. So there's something there. Now the question is, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't experienced such a thing, can you? Absolutely, that is your birthright. Mm-hmm. Like breathing, it's your birthright. And if you experience it, maybe there are limitations, like David said the word, I can't. But maybe there's an element of fear. Okay, these are all chains upon your being. Fear, limitation, guilt, shame, blame, that false responsibility to carry other people's karma. Off with all of it. Be free and be you, the glorious you. And then try, see what happens. I've tried. And my experience is okay. What I have seen and felt and heard and experienced aligns perfectly with these countless other people who've taken this route. Mm-hmm. So it suggests, first of all, that the human being is so much more than just the physical. And not just that, in fact, it turns out we are the ultimate badasses, right? That these guys, these AIs, angels, aliens, whatever you want to call them, they're just taking advantage. They're just robbing our pockets while we're in the virtual reality, experiencing it. Really fun game. If we take off the visor, we're going to whip their ass, right? So this game isn't going to go on forever.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to change the audience's mind here a little bit. I'm going to ask you, imagine that you are a superior, inverted commas, being with nukes and tactical nukes, and you got thunderbolts, you got like genetic cloning stuff going on, you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and then you stumble across this entity, this being that can be anything at any point in time, that anything it's kind of like having the ultimate USB port. Anything can plug into it, and anything you can download any kind of information into it. Assuming that you stumble across this thing and you said, okay, we're going to hood them together and we're going to experiment with them. And like the Borg, we're going to add their genetic significance to our own collective. Okay, let's just assume that. Let's just assume that. But then you have a problem because they're doing whatever they want, right? They're like the Tweedlebugs on Sesame Street. Okay, they're doing all sorts of crazy shit. So you're like, you know what, we're going to nuke this batch. But the problem is, even when you nuke them, there's an element of them that keeps coming back. You can't kill them. So you can't nuke them. You can't do anything with them when they do not cooperate with you. What you going to do? Kill them? That thing that they're wearing, that skin suit that they're wearing, that's not them. They keep coming back, and we can't deal with the thing that keeps coming back. So you have, just imagine, do you understand how important and valuable grafting that particular being's structure onto yourself would be? It would be, look, I would never leave that being alone, okay? Okay, just the skin suit that you're wearing. the thing that you call your body, right? Just the skin suit that you're wearing. The adaptability of this thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. The adaptability of this thing is amazing. The way it adapts to anything is amazing. Listen, look, we have survived the bubonic plague. That should theoretically have killed every last one of us. We survived the Spanish flu. It doesn't matter what disease that comes out. Not that I'm going to go down this road. No, it doesn't matter what disease that comes out. There's always a section of the population that seems immune from it.
Yeah.
You can't kill everybody, right? Not that it's been tried. It's like we tried to drown all of you, but some of you all...
It'll work. It's amazing, you know, David. Just to add to what you're saying. So let's look at the nuclear explosion in Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are people living there, you might know, with levels of radiation 500 times above normal, that are happily planting vegetables, eating from the soil, drinking the water, and no problem, okay?
Cockroaches. Cockroaches are the only things that are supposed to be able to survive that, okay?
Right.
But the people who are living out there, radiation, we're good.
Yeah, or look at the example of astronauts going into space. The body immediately starts adapting to space environment, changing muscle and bone density, optimizing the heartbeat so you don't get too much blood to the brain. It automatically adjusts. In 3 weeks, you're just like you're born in space. I mean, this level of adaptability, it's incredible. So that's just one aspect of it. Then there's the other aspects of the human being that may be possible to sample. Now,
like
David,
being able to understand your technology. Can you imagine you come down to Earth, you nuke these people a couple of times and they start understanding your technology and they make their own nuke?
Yeah.
That would be annoying.
And you know what would be even worse, David? Imagine that these beings are of a hive mind, that there is no individuality, that they all think the same thing, that they are just different aspects of one being. They mix their DNA with us, and there comes Hercules, who says, hell no, I'm not listening to you, asshole. Yeah, I'm doing my own thing.
Exactly. Right.
So they
all those Greek demigods that went against Hera and Juno.
Yeah, there we go.
Hera, Juno, and pissed off all these gods.
So even when they try to breed with us, still our makeover takes over. We don't become hive-minded. We become even more belligerent.
Correct.
How dare you mess with my mom, right? I'm going to kick your butt, you assholes, right? And that's what happens, right? They all rebel, protecting their mother who's being raped. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
That mother could be symbolically Mother Earth, or their physical mother who's being artificially inseminated, right? They rebel. Hey, you quote-unquote gods are assholes. And guess what? I'm going to use all my power to protect my people from you.
Yeah.
Now imagine the horror of the alien being, quote unquote, God or the creator of these AIs. To what's happening? No wonder they want to kill what they've created. It's superior to both species and it's got an attitude. So yeah, the experiment has been a failure.
Yeah,
and you know why?
And every one of them met with rather drastic ends, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. But again, it's a testament to our species. Even when you mess with our species, with this mighty human, although the experiment goes wrong, but it's us humans that has the last laugh.
Correct. And because there's a spiritual nature of us that has free will and will not be hive-minded.
Right. We will not be subjugated. We're going to digest the Borg, okay, to the very last one.
Yeah, I'm like Borg virus.
Exactly.
messing up the AI.
With our pitchforks and our flames at the Queen's chamber. Hey, here we are.
Well, guys, this is the broadcast that we have for you today. Let us know what you think about this discussion in the comments below. This has been fun as usual. Thank you so much, Amir, for being here. And we'll see you guys next week, okay? Take care, guys.